A very good afternoon. Let's take a look at the markets. Asian stocks traded firmer today with the Nikkei share average hitting a fresh all-time record high. This after US President Donald Trump announced the extension of the US's tariff truce with China for a further 90 days. This move has helped to ease concerns around trade tensions between the two largest economies in the world. Currencies are said to have edged higher as the US dollar steadied. The Nikkei share average jumped by 2.15%. The Hang Seng Index closed 0.25% in the black, while the Shanghai Composite Index rose by 0.5%. US markets ended the session in the red, with market players cautious around the outcome of the US-China trade talks. But of course, those have since been extended by another 90 days. When US markets open later in the day, all eyes will be on the latest consumer price inflation print. The Dow Jones Industrial Average declined by 0.45%. The S&P 500 lost 0.25%, while the Nasdaq Composite Index fell by 0.3%. Looking at the local indicators, we see that the all-share index is currently up 0.3% at 100,955 index points. The rand is trading at 17.70 against the US dollar, 20.55 vis-a-vis the euro, and 23.82 against the British pound. In terms of commodities, we see that gold is trading at $3,348 an ounce, platinum at $1,342 an ounce, while Brent crude oil is trading at $66.81 a barrel. Right, so let's get into it now with Fahima Adia. She's a senior equity analyst at Momentum Securities. A very good afternoon to you, Fahima. So all eyes are going to be on the CPI data coming out of the United States this afternoon, with the market generally expecting rate cuts to come from the Fed in September. Won't that likely be complicated if the CPI number comes up higher than expected?
Good afternoon, Nombu. Yes, I definitely think so. So the core CPI is expected to increase now by about 3% year on year, 0.2% month on month. But I think there are concerns, with the tariff impacts filtering through, and that could potentially push inflation up higher than what's expected. So far, we are seeing about an 80% probability of rate cuts in September. I do think the Fed will look at the data released today to make a decision on these September rate cuts. But yes, I think if we do see inflation come in higher than what's expected, despite the labor market slowing, it does flag the risks of a stagflationary environment there in the US. So I think this will be quite an important reading today.
Just remind our viewers what stagflation is.
So stagflation generally happens when you see labor market conditions weaken, also economic growth weaken. But on the other end of it, inflation continues to increase. And this, of course, creates quite a harmful environment for the economy and also for the consumer.
So on the local market front, we see that there's a sort of broad-based increase in shares. What's driving the local market?
Yes, I think the JSE is following Asian and European markets higher after we saw that 90-day China US tariff extension. Locally, it looks like the financial sector is leading those gains. And I think that's just coming ahead of some of the big bank results, which are expected to be released this week and next week. If we look at the banking sector, it has underperformed year to date because of the weak economy. So a lot of the banking stocks, I think, are looking more attractive at current levels. They do look undervalued. So if we have some positive results come out in the next week or two, also, some indications that the consumer is in an improved position, I think we will see further upside on these banking stocks.
Yeah, well, a not so fantastic report coming out from Merafe Resources. They came out with their interim results for the 6 months ended June, reporting a 233 million rand decline in profit, citing lower demand and greater competition from China. What's your reading of this particular stock's results, and is their experience a cyclical thing?
So I think the issue is the business is really struggling because of the weaker global ferrochrome market. So yes, it is cyclical. Ferrochrome is usually used in the production of steel. And because you've seen that weakness in China's property market, it is having an impact on the demand for this. And then we're also seeing increased competition come from China, which is also putting some further pressure on the price. And just because of these price issues, they've had to shut down quite a few of their operations, and that's leading to a massive decline in their production. production. They also said that the increased energy costs are also having quite an impact on the bottom line. So yeah, all in, I think it's quite a tough environment for Merafe, and probably still more headwinds to come.
Yeah. Education player Advotech, they have indicated in a trading update or a trading statement that they expect their earnings to be up between 13 and 18% for the 6 months ended June this year. What's your view of this counter as, you know, as opposed or as against their competitors in this field?
Yeah, so the market seemed to like the update. Share price was up more than 1%. I think it's been a tough environment for education companies this year. You know, student enrollments have been under pressure because of the weaker consumer. But if we look at the performance of Advotech, it's been down about 7% year to date. So despite that, though, it's still doing better than its peer Curo, which is down about 35% year to date, is under a lot more pressure. So I think the benefit with Advotech is that it has been trying to grow its business outside of South Africa. So it's now entered the likes of Ghana, Botswana, Kenya to offset the weaker growth environment we are seeing in South Africa. But I would say the standout education stock has really been Stadio. So that's focused on the tertiary education sector, and that's performed really well, up more than 27% year to date. So I think that's definitely offered investors more value than Advotech and Curo this year.
Yeah, and I suppose one can't really go wrong with education. Thank you so much, Fahima, for your time and insights as always. That was Fahima Adia, Senior Equity Analyst at Momentum Securities. After a short break, Mfundo has more news for you.